All right, so PITI math. I figure if you're struggling with this, then the best way to teach it to you is to go step by step by step. You okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So we got our problem here. Abby is under contract to purchase a home. The purchase price is $425,000. Abby will be applying for a loan with 80% LTV for 30 years at 7.5%. The estimated annual taxes will be $5,750, and the annual homeowner's insurance will be $2,500. Given this information, calculate the following values. So, first, we got to make sure we understand that we got to make sure that you understand all those numbers in that. So is there any number in here? In fact, let's go through step by step. We got the purchase price. I'm assuming you understand what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
We've got a loan with an 80% LTV. Are you comfortable with that?
Uh, yes.
Okay. For 30 years, I know you know what a year is, at 7.5%, and that's going to be annual interest. That is something that these questions don't always put into writing, but when we're talking about loans, anytime you see an interest rate quoted, it's going to be annual interest.
Okay.
Unless it says it's quarterly or monthly, you can always assume it is annual interest.
Okay.
Right? Then we've got this number. The annual taxes will be 5750, and the annual homeowner's insurance will be 2500. Do both of those sound familiar? Like, you understand what that means?
Yes, because this is your well, that's the T and the I.
Yeah, that's
The typos are
exactly
okay.
right. That is the T and the I. All right. So whenever I am doing these problems, even if I don't break it down this way, these are the questions I end up asking myself because at the end of the day, you're always talking about this idea of PITI. This is your monthly payment. And you've already correctly said, oh, the T and I is for taxes and insurance, and the P and I is for principal and interest, because we know the principal payment is the part of the payment that goes down. It reduces the principal amount is what you borrowed, and the interest amount is the money you're paying because you borrowed the money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So let's start at the beginning. All of this is going to be based off of a loan amount. So, given all of these numbers in here, would you know how to find the loan amount?
Uh, yes, I think.
Okay. How do you
Okay.
think you would find it?
Um, we would take the purchase price of the 425 and multiply multiply it by the LTV.
All right.
It's 80%.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. And that gives us an answer of, trying,
Should be 340,000.
there we go. Yes, $340,000 is the loan amount. And this is going to be such an important number that I'm going to go ahead and put it in green. Because I don't know if you've ever watched me do other stuff, but sometimes when I'm doing math on the fly for you all, I'll completely forget what I'm doing and I'll start using this number, which absolutely not. I mean, I
Hmm.
promise you that answer choice will be there, but it just happens. So, what I like to do is just kind of even cross it out when I can, just so I don't accidentally use it. I know I've used these numbers, so cool. This is the important number, right?
Okay.
So look, you could at least do one part of these math problems. This is legitimately a question you could have on the exam. If the purchase price is 425, it's an 80% LTV, what would be the loan amount? All right, like that.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
340.
good. See,
Yeah.
you got this. You got this. All right, next we have the loan factor. Do you know what that means?
Is that so? The loan factor would be the remaining 20%.
No, so the
No?
remaining 20%, so if your loan is for 425, I'm sorry, if your purchase price is 425 and you're getting a loan for 340, when you subtract, that would be your down payment.
Okay.
So if
Right,
I
right.
do 425 subtract 340, that's going to give me $85,000. So it would be a down payment of $85,000. So it is something that's important to know. If they gave you, they could have said the person is getting Abby's getting an 80% LTV and her down payment is $85,000. Then you could do the reverse math and you get what I'm saying? You could figure
Mhm.
out what that answer is, but that's not what we're looking for. We're
Okay.
looking for a loan factor. And a lot of times I like to rename stuff to make more sense. I
Okay.
call this the rate of P&I. It's your rate of principal and interest.
Okay.
Does that sound familiar to you at all?
A little.
Okay, so let's talk about it. This problem gave you taxes. But if the problem hadn't given you taxes, let's see if I have some extra space down here. Here. Let's just go here. If it hadn't given you taxes, they could have given you the taxes and asked you to find them. And a lot of times what they'll say is, hey, for taxes, it is, $1.57 per $100 of the assessed value. Does that
Okay.
sound familiar?
Yes, yes.
So this $1.57 is your rate of taxes. And if something was worth $100, you would owe $1.57. If it's worth $200, then you take that 157 times 2, and it would
Mhm.
be $3.14 would be your annual taxes. Like that makes sense to you, correct?
Yes.
This is a
Yes.
rate of taxes. So when it comes to P&I, when it comes to our P&I amount, you find how much that's going to be using a rate. Except in this case, our rate is per $1,000 borrowed.
Okay.
So let's say you have a rate of $4. It's $4 per 1,000. What we're saying is, hey, if you borrowed $1,000, if this is what you borrowed, then your payment amount per month would be $4. If you borrowed $2,000, then your payment would be $8 a
Mm.
month. Does this kind of make sense?
Yes.
So if you
Yes.
were to borrow $15,000, well, we know we could take the 15,000 divided by 1,000, which gives you 15.
Hmm.
We'd be paying $4 15 times, which gives us an answer of 4 times 15, 60.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yes.
Yes, that does.
So this rate of P&I, didn't mean to do that. This rate of P&I
Hmm.
is called your factor.
Okay.
So sometimes when you get a math problem, they'll say, Abby is getting a loan for $340,000 with a factor of, you know, with a factor of $4. Actually, it'll actually say just to say a factor of four. And if it says factor of four, they mean $4.
Okay.
Or they could say she's getting a 340,000 loan, and the payments will be $4 per thousand
Thousand.
borrowed.
Okay.
Does that kind of make sense? That's all kind of saying the same thing?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, good. Because I think that's where students sometimes get messed up. Sometimes they ask it as a factor. Sometimes they lay it out, oh, it's $4 per thousand borrowed. Sometimes it's going to say, oh, it's just, you get what I'm saying? Like it's all kind of
Mm-hmm.
mixed in there.
Yeah, I do.
So that's your factor. Well,
Okay.
when we come back into this problem, it's asking us to find the loan factor. Any clue on how to find this?
Huh.
I,
Um, we would have to look at the loan amount with
well,
the interest of the set at the 7.5% for 30
so you're
years.
close. We need two pieces of information. We need to know that the loan is for 30 years,
Okay.
and we need to know it's at 7.5%. Have you seen me do this math where sometimes I pull up this loan chart, amortization chart thing?
Yes.
Okay. This is your amortization chart, and it even tells you it's giving you your monthly payment per 1,000 of the mortgage. So imagine every single one of these numbers actually had a dollar sign in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you borrowed at 3% annual interest for 20 years, so if I were to come down here and I were to come all the way over here, this is telling you, hey, if you're getting a loan at 3% and you're going to take 20 years to pay it off, your factor is $5.54.
Okay.
That's what this chart does. It tells you the factor. It tells you what is the dollar amount. What's this monthly payment you pay per thousand of the mortgage?
Right.
So when we're talking about doing these problems, remember I said sometimes they're going to tell you, oh, it's $4 per thousand borrowed, or it's a factor of $4. Or the problem could say, hey, this loan is for 30 years at 7.5%. And if they don't give you the factor, then they have to give you a chart to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, nine times out of 10, they're not going to give you a chart like this. I mean, this one's huge. It takes up a whole piece of paper, but we could. I mean, I think it was 7.5%. I mean, we could. Here's the sevens, right? Whatever the interest rate was. Here's the sevens. And then we know this chart. I just happen to know this one is 30 years. So we could use this chart to find it out. But more than likely on your exam, if they want you to find the factor, they're going to supply you with a very small version of that chart that'll look something more like this.
Okay.
All right. So
Okay.
now we have two things. We got our rate, which we saw earlier, and we have our number of years. So we got to match this. And if I go backwards, it's 7.5% for 30 years. All right. So I can do that. We want 7.5% for 30 years. So let's just come over. Here we go. It is $6.99 per 1,000 borrowed.
Okay.
That is your factor,
Okay. Yes.
or what we call the rate
The rate.
of P&I. And so we know this person, Abby, is going to pay $6.99 for every $1,000 that she borrows. So if she borrowed $1,000 for 30 years, that seems ridiculous, but she would pay $6.99 a month. If she paid, if she borrowed $2,000, she'd be paying basically $14 a month.
Oh,
Is that kind of clicking and making sense?
yes, it is.
Cool. Yay. So we know 6.99. We need to know that number. We scroll back up and we know our loan factor is $6.99. That's per 1,000 borrowed. So that is the answer to this question. It just asked us, what is the loan factor? Oh, it's $6.99. For every 1,000 that this person wants to borrow, they're going to owe $6.99 a month.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
So then our next natural question would be, well, how much am I going to have to pay? If I owe $6.99 a month as my factor and the loan amount is $340,000. How do we figure out what this monthly payment would be?
We'll have to multiply the 699 with the 340.
And where did you get 340 from? You're not wrong. I just want to make sure.
So from what you were saying with the loan factor, so since it's per every 1,000 borrowed, the 340 was from uh the first part we did from the loan
Yeah,
amount because that's what she's borrowing.
because she's borrowing, excuse me,
Forty.
$340,000 bills. Like, right. So perfect. So we're going to
Okay.
do 340 times 699. And I'm going to get, and you're going to do it too, 340.
This should be uh $2,376.60.
So $2,376.60. Boom. So when you're doing this math for the test, generally B wouldn't be a question, but
Mm-hmm.
B is the step to answering C. This could be a question.
Okay.
That makes sense why I'm saying that?
Yes, I usually get lost looking for the loan factor.
Mhm. But now you get it.
But yes, now I do get it.
And
Okay.
what's really cool is if the problem wanted to, I mean, I don't think the test is going to do this, but if it said, hey, Abby's getting a 30-year loan, right, and her factor, it's a terrible arrow there, Candace. Let's just fix this. Do, do, do. Either way. And her factor is $5. What was her interest rate? Well, the closest thing to $5 is right here. So I could come all the way over and be like, oh, her interest rate was 4.5%. Like it's all interconnected.
Oh wow, I can't believe that. I do that so complicated. I think I have to always do like some crazy math just to find that.
Mm-mm.
Well,
Mm-mm.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when I'm teaching this, I'll compare our factor
Hmm.
and I'll teach people to do this by comparing it to a sales tax. If you're in a state that you pay sales tax, you pay like 7 cents for every $1 that you buy, or, something like that. So it's very similar. And little kids can do sales tax calculations. So there's no reason why we can't do these factors. It just seems so much more complicated because it's bigger numbers.
Right.
Mm-mm. It just is.
Okay.
Just is. Yay. So first question is, do you
Yeah,
feel better at least about that part?
I definitely do.
Yay! That's what I love to hear. Okay, so now we know our monthly P&I payment is 2376.60. Cool. That's just your monthly P&I payment, and we're doing something that's asking for PITI.
Hmm.
This is a PITI. So our next question is, well, what's our monthly T&I payment? Right? What's this monthly T&I payment? So I can scroll all the way back up here, and I know our taxes are 5750 and our insurance is 2500. So our taxes were 5750, and that's a year because it said annual.
Mm-hmm.
And your insurance was $2,500 a year. So do you know how you would find your monthly T&I payment?
Divided by 12,
Yeah.
12
And you
months.
could either add these up and then divide by 12, or you could do it separately and then
Separately.
add it.
Okay.
All right. I tend to add these together and divide by 12 because the fewer numbers I have to put in the calculator, the better for me. Right? So, but if they asked you how much is the monthly taxes, you just divide that one by 12. If they asked you how much is the monthly insurance, you could divide that by 12. I would probably add these together and then divide by 12, but just for fun, let's do it separately.
Okay.
So 5750 divided by 12 would give us 479 and 17 cents a month. And 2500 divided by 12 is giving you 208.33 a month. Is that what you got too?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how would I find the total T&I payment?
We would add
Yeah, there you go.
we would add these
He's like, dummy,
no,
you,
no.
yeah, that's a pretty simple question. But sometimes we just get overwhelmed with all these friggin' numbers, right?
Yeah.
479.17.
This should be 687.50 a month.
There you go.
Okay.
So now E is asking us for the total PITI payment. Well, the P and I we figured out, and the T and I we figured out. Our T and I was 687.50, and our PI was,
Two 376.60.
yep, 2376.60.
I don't know why I struggled to say that.
Girl, that is my pain every day, every day. And so that means our PITI amount would be, so 687.50
Six,
plus.
uh, $3,064.10.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Okay.
Yay.
Good, good, good.
You feel better about that now?
Yeah, I feel much better about that.
Well, we're not done. We're going to take it a little further.
Oh no.
You're like, dang it. But that's good. Like, I mean, it's good because it's good. So you know that this person is going to pay 30, 64, 10 every single month. I'm going to change colors here. But part of it is principal and interest, and part of it is taxes and insurance. So let's think about it this way. She borrowed $340,000 and her P&I payment was 23, what was it? 2376.60.
Yes.
Now notice I used the smaller number because when you make this payment, this part doesn't go towards reducing how much you owe the bank. Not at all. This goes into escrow somewhere, which are sometimes called reserves. because we know the bank is going to collect those taxes and insurance amounts annually. And then when the bill comes due, they're going to pay it for you because the bank is like, this is our collateral. We don't trust you to separately pay the taxes and the insurance. We'll go ahead and collect that from you monthly and we'll pay the bill because we're not trying to have anything happen.
Okay.
So even though their monthly payment, like what the bank would say is, hey, please give us $3,064.10 a month.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, the 687.50 is going to these escrows. Now we're just dealing with this 2376.60. And I hate to break it to you, but if you pay them the 2376.60, we don't just subtract it off this original balance
No.
because this is principal and interest. So the question becomes, well, of that 2376.60, how much of it is interest and how much of it is principal?
Okay.
Any clue to how we would find this?
Uh, no.
Okay, and that's okay. That's why we're here. So, the interest paid in the first payment. We know the loan amount was $340,000 and it was at an annual rate of 7.5%, correct?
Correct.
Make sure, I'm making sure because I'll mess up a number in a heartbeat. 7.5%. So if you went to a bank and you said, hey, I'm only going to borrow this amount of money for 1 year, I'm not going to make any payments for a whole year. And when I pay you back, I'm going to pay you back in 365 days, 340,000 plus I'm going to pay you 7.5% of 340,000. So the interest you would pay for 1 year would be 340,000 times 7.5%. You would write them an additional check for $25,500 for 1 year.
Oof.
Right. But
Okay.
it hasn't been a year. When you go to make your first monthly payment, you haven't borrowed the money for a year. You've only borrowed the money for 1 month.
One. Oh, wow. Right. So, ooh,
So if it's 25.5 for the year, how could we find out what that would be for borrowing it for 1 month?
could we divide the 25.5 by 12 months?
Yes, ma'am. Look at you being a genius. Because we're saying, hey, we got to divide this by 12. So 25,500 divided by 12 is going to give us,
2,125.
there we go, $2,125. That's the cost of borrowing the money for 1 month.
Oh, so this is the interest.
That's the interest. So because you borrow that money from the bank for 1 month, you owe them interest of 21.25. Well, you
Okay.
wrote them a check for $2,300, but 2,100 of it is going to go to interest. It's the remainder that would go to reduce this $340,000. So if you wrote a check for 2376.60, but then 2125 of it is interest, how do we find out what that principal amount is?
Uh, subtract from
There you go.
from, okay.
And
Minus
that's going to give
2125.
us,
25.
$251.60.
251.60, maybe.
Yep, 251.60. 251.60 helps if I get my numbers. Boop. 5 1. So even though in this first month you wrote them a check for $2,300, Only $251.60 goes towards reducing your balance. So you started at 340 and you made a payment, but only $251.60 went towards reducing your principal. So what's your new balance now?
$339,748.40.
Phew. You did all of that paying and you've only reduced your balance by that much. Okay. Well, let's do this again. That was your first payment. The second month, the second time you make a payment, do you still owe the bank $340,000 after your first payment?
No, you owe the 339, 748.40.
All right. And you know that you have a principal and interest payment. And the thing we know about principal and interest payments is they never change. You will be paying 2376.60 all 30 years for all 360 payments. That never changes. That's why we call it an amortized loan.
Okay.
They know if you pay this 2376.60 for 30 years, 12 times a year, you're going to make 360 payments of that amount. Now, you want to
Oof.
see some actual crap?
Sure, yeah. Because I'm in this boat right now.
All right.
About to
So we
be.
know that we're paying 2376 and 80 cents. And that amount never changes for 360 payments. This is the total times you're paying your P&I. So if you were to just add up all those checks of 2376.80, like you added 360 of those, we can multiply. We know that's the math. So 2376.8 times 360, that is
Wow.
$855,648 of total P&I. Over 30 years, you would have written the bank checks for a total of 855,648. How
Wow.
much did we borrow again? What was our principal?
340.
Yeah, so what's the total interest you would be paying over the life of this loan?
515,648.
515,000. Whew. 648 in interest. For that, you could buy another house.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite moments in teaching, I had a 17-year-old or 18-year-old. She was taking the class, as a graduation thing. And we did this math, and she was like, oh my God, why would anybody ever get a loan? Just pay cash. And it didn't occur to we were like, hun, because none of us have $340,000 in cash in
Just,
our bank accounts.
yeah, I
She was
wish.
like, what? Like you could just see her brain was going, oh my God. She was like, oh. And I mean, it was just interesting to watch the click,
Oh
like,
my
oh, this
goodness.
is some BS. This
Yeah,
is-
it definitely is.
Mhm. That was just a side project. So that means in month two, you owe 339,748. But do you still owe them in interest 21.25?
Um, no.
Why not? Good answer.
So, from what I understand about P&I, it fluctuates. So, as you pay it off, uh,
Mhm.
every month, your principal and your interest will go down and your principal will go up slowly, not by much.
Exactly. Exactly, because You owed 2125 when you owed $340,000.
Mm-hmm.
We don't owe $340,000 anymore. What we owe is 339 748.40. So what we could do, oh, and this was the principal reduction in the first payment was 251.60. But let's go back here. Let's pretend like this question said, actually, in the second payment. Well, now we owed the 339 748 and 60 cents, 40 cents. There we go. That's our balance. And you know what didn't change? The 7.5% annual interest. That would be for a year, and we're only borrowing $339,748.40 for 1 month. If we know the annual interest rate and we know the balance, what math could I do to figure out how much it would be if I borrowed this money for 1 month?
Uh, okay.
Remember, you have an amount of annual interest. We have a rate
Where
of
is
annual
it?
interest.
Where is it? Where is it? I see it here. Okay, so uh the 699?
No,
No. No,
it's
no,
not going to
no.
be 699. Well, let's go back to our math.
Okay.
Last time, what we did is we said we owed 340, and if we borrowed 340 for a year, that would be
The 25.
25,500 for a year, and then we divided by 12 to find 2125 a month.
Right.
So if we're looking at, and actually we're not finding principal, we're looking for interest, right? So if we know this time for 1 month, because I don't owe you $340,000, I'm not paying you on interest. I don't owe you anymore. I only owe you $339,748.40 at an annual rate of 7.5%. How could we get how much that would be for 1 month? Because you're right, it should be a lesser amount. I don't owe you as much money, so I'm not paying you as much interest.
Okay. So we'll multiply it by the 0.075.
Yep.
0.075.
And that gives us 339.
25, 25, 481, 13.
25, 481.13.
And
So
then
that's for a year. What do we need to do with that?
divide it by 12 months. And then this will be 21, 23, 42. I don't know if you want to round up. We'll
We'll
say
call it
42.
43. We'll round it up.
Okay.
So now for the next month, this is how much you owe in interest, 21, 23, 43. All right. So now we've got this 21, 23, 43. That's how much is interest. We know our P&I payment is the same. So how are we going to find out how much principal, how much are we reducing off of that 339,748?
Uh, Subtract it with the P&I that we're
Yep,
getting.
2376.60. Subtract 2123.43.
253.17.
253.17. So we had a balance of 339,748.40, and after we make our next payment, we owe 253.17 We've made that down. So if I did my math right, I got 339, 495, 23.
23. Yes.
Wow. So you've written the bank almost $5,000 in checks, but you've only reduced your payment by almost 500, like a little over $500,
Yeah.
which kind of makes sense when you look at it that way. No wonder we're paying so much in interest.
Right. It's
Right.
insane.
So my first question is, I mean, I don't expect you to be able to do this on your own perfectly by yourself, but does it make sense now?
Yes, it does make sense now.
Yay. And I will tell you, when I was in person, like, a lot of these classes now I teach via Zoom, but when I was in person, what I used to do was make my students over the week, like I teach it to them on like, let's say it was a Saturday, Sunday class. I'll
Hmm.
teach it to them on Saturday, and then I'd be like, by next Saturday, I want you to do this 10 times. I want to see what would be the payment? What would be our principal amount on the 10th payment?
On the
Not
10th payment.
because,
Oh, wow.
yeah, oh, yeah. And they're never going to ask you that on the test. But let me
No.
tell you, after you do this 10 times, guess what you're never going to forget how to do?
Uh, PITI.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, one more thing before we go. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Pick another color. Doo-doo-doo. Sometimes on the test, what they'll say is, hey, um, Abby's principal payment was in this month, whatever month it was, like whatever month this is, her principal a payment was, let's say, uh, $892. If that's true, what was the balance at that time? Does that kind of make sense what they're saying? They're
Uh,
saying, hey, if we know that the principal amount that was reducing, so whatever this number was beforehand,
mhm.
that caused us to have a principal balance of this. So it'd be this number, subtract 892 would be our new balance.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying there?
Yes.
So I'm going to show you how you would basically do this math just so it makes sense.
Okay.
So one thing I know never changes is the 2376.60, correct?
Correct.
So if I wrote a check for 2376.60 and 892 of it was principal, wouldn't the difference be our monthly interest?
Yes.
So I'm going to do the 2376.60. I'm going to subtract 892, and that's going to give me, let's see, 2376.60 subtract 892.
Should be
It's going to give me 1484.60.
okay.
That's our monthly interest. Well, let's rewind. 1484.60. Let's go back to this problem. This time we're saying, hey, our answer is 1480 84 60. You see how I'm like writing over it so that good.
Yeah.
And that number would have been because we divided some number by 12.
Mm-hmm.
You getting what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
So let's do the opposite. If you took 1484.60 and multiply by 12, wouldn't that give us an amount of annual interest?
Yes, it would.
So 1484.60 times 12 gives me
It's 17,
mhm,
8 15 20.
8, 15, 20. All right. And I know this 17, 8, 15, 20 came because we multiplied that by 0.075. To,
Right.
right? So we're going to do the opposite of that. We're going to now take this 8, 17, 8, 15, 20, and we're going to divide by 0.075.
Okay.
So when you do that,
We get 237,536.
there you go. So 237, 536. Boom.
Wow.
It's all the math is related.
Mm-hmm.
It all kind of goes through. And so when you buy a house, they do give you a piece of paper, okay, a PDF, which will show you the first month, the second month, the third month, the fourth month, the fifth month, the sixth month, all of those things.
Right.
And this is why they tell you, hey, it's probably a good idea if you make an extra principal payment someplace a couple times throughout the loan so you're paying less interest. Because good googly goo.
Yeah.
And it's why people are like, sometimes when I'm teaching the class, students will be like, why are we learning about the Federal Reserve and interest rates? Because most people get loans. And the
Mm-hmm.
higher the interest rate is, your higher your payment, the more has to go to the bank. So that means it's harder for people to afford homes.
Mm-hmm.
So when interest rates were lower, people were like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
great. Why would
Buying
I? I
them
mean,
left and right. Yeah.
exactly. All right. So, did this help? You can feel more comfortable with this now?
Yes, I do. This definitely helped.
Yay!
This
And I hope it means that you understand it's not as bad as you think.
no. Whenever I would see uh a PITI question or even a just PMI question, it would send me through, I guess, a rabbit hole. And I'm like, I just don't even know. Just, it's like numbers just all over the page. I was like, I have no clue what I'm even doing.
Mhm.
But this has helped a lot.
Good. And what I would encourage you to do is just like I said, 10 times.
Yeah, I definitely will be doing this 10
10
times.
times because you could, and then you can find some other, I mean, I've done them too, but doing some problems that makes you find the factor,
Mhm.
focusing on it so you don't forget, that's also helpful. But I'm just really glad this helped. Yay.
Yes. I will definitely be
Yes.
asking chat for some study questions.
Yes. You can use Chat GPT, or I also, if you know somebody who has Claude AI,
Oh
I
no.
like their math too. Two different
Okay.
AIs, but they'll give you, I mean, either one. They
Okay.
will give you. And quite honestly, when I was writing this question today, I just randomly chose numbers. I randomly chose the sales price, the 80%, the 30, I mean, the 30 years, I kind of keep the same, the interest rate, this. Like, I had no idea what our answer was going to be. I just randomly
Oh,
chose some numbers. I don't know. I got nothing. But I knew it didn't matter. I could figure it out. In fact, when I was just doing this with you, you heard me randomly choose $892. Doesn't matter
hmm.
because it's all fits together.
Okay. Yeah.
Yay. Well,
Awesome.
then, is there anything else that I can help you with when it comes to this P&I math?
Um, n- mm, no, I pretty much got that rate of P and I down. I think can we go over a loan factor one more time, just like a random one?
Sure. Yeah, we definitely can. Mm, mm, Okay, I'm just going to make one up.
Okay.
So let's see. Testing my brain, testing my brain. Doop. Let's let you choose the numbers. What's
Oh,
gonna what's gonna be the sales price of this house?
um, 365.
All right. What would you like to be the LTV?
Um, we'll do the 80. We'll do 80%.
Why don't we do 85% this time?
85? Okay.
Which means this person would have to put down PMI because they borrow more than 80% of the loan. We're not doing that right now, but remember, if it's 80% or greater, there's no PMI. But if it's less than 80%, I'm sorry, if it's 80% or greater, there is PMI, right? Because you borrow more than 80%. And if it's less than 80%, it's no PMI.
Okay. I did not know that.
Well, think about it this way. You know that if you borrow more than 80%, that means that let's say you borrow 85%. That means you're only putting 15% down,
Okay.
which means the loan amount is greater.
Hmm.
And since they're lending you more money, they want insurance. So now you have to pay PMI.
Right. Okay.
But if you borrowed 75%, then your down payment is going to be 25%, which means you borrowed less. And now there's no insurance, no
Okay.
PMI insurance needed. And the
Okay.
magic number is this 80%.
80.
If it's 80 or higher, no down payment. If it's less than that, then yes, down payment. No, I mean, not no down payment, no PMI. If it's lower than, sorry, I'm doing it backwards again. Let me make sure I say it right because it seems backwards. If you're borrowing more than 80%, then yes, you pay PMI. Where's my pen? Here we go. Yes to PMI.
Okay.
Because the higher the rate, the more you borrow, you have to pay PMI.
Okay.
The lower the LTV, the less you borrow, and then you're going to have no PMI.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
It does make sense.
All right. So, in general, this person will have to pay PMI, but that's a problem for another day. We don't care. What's going to be your annual interest rate?
uh, let's do 6.4%.
Let's do 6.25%.
Okay,
4%.
25.
When you have those charts, they usually go by either eighths, so 6.125 or 0.25. I mean, I guess we could get ChatGPT to come up with 6.4%, but yeah.
It's okay. We'll do this.
6.25, I know I have a chart
0.25.
for.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose the term, the amount of time for 30 years. All right.
Okay.
So this would be a legit question they might ask us. What is the PI amount? So we know, well, where would you start? I'll let you go.
Uh, LTV is where I would start.
Perfect. What do you want me to do?
So we would do the 365 times 0.85. Oh, do that right.
Yeah.
So then our borrowed amount is 310.25.
310. So it'd be 310,250 is our loan amount. Okay. Now what?
And then okay. Okay. 1,000 borrowed. Oh,
Yeah, you're on the
I
right
did a
path.
I did a funky number.
You
Uh,
need that factor. Exactly.
I need to.
Exactly.
I
Where do
do.
we get the factor from?
From from our chart.
From our chart.
From
Yay,
our
we can
chart.
go back to this chart. So we said 6.25
Mm-hmm.
for 30 years. So we know our factor is going to be $6.16.
That's
That feel that makes sense,
6.25.
yes?
Yes, it does. So
Cool.
16,
616.
16 at 30 years. This is, I am
So
writing
you
it with
pay,
you.
oh no, that's
Sorry.
cool.
Okay, 616 at 30 years.
And we
So,
know the factor is per 1,000 borrowed. So what should I do to figure out what this monthly payment's going to be?
so we would we would multiply the 616
Hmm.
by 310.
Yeah, you're going to do the 616 times, and what we're going to do is divide this by 1,000. So it's going to
Oh,
be 310.25.
oh, right. Oops.
Hmm. You're right. You're perfectly right. So 6.16 times 310.25. What'd you get?
1,911 and 14
That's your monthly
monthly
P&I.
piano.
Well, there you go. But
Okay.
now let's have fun with it. This is the somewhat fun part. That's your monthly P&I that doesn't change, and it's for 30 years. So how many times are you going to pay the 9, 11, 14 over 30 years? If you pay 12 times a month, 5 times a year for 30 years, how many total payments is that?
Um, Whoa, hold on. I think I messed up. Uh, where did it go? There it is. Okay. So if
12 times a
it's
year.
22, so
Well, what are you
it
multiplying it by? 360, right?
I multiplied it by just a year. Or well, oh no, 360. That's what I needed to do because I
Does
was
that make sense?
yes.
Because that's the total times you're paying it.
Okay.
You're paying
I was
night.
breaking it down really small.
That's okay. You're paying 1911 and 14 cents 360 times. So let's figure out what that
Mhm.
is.
So I feel like is it 688 10
Yep.
40? Okay. That's what I
That's your
thought. And I was like, I don't think that's right.
No,
I
you're
thought it was
good.
a
You just
lot.
No, you're good. I was going the slower way. And so this is your total P&I. And what did we borrow?
Uh, where is it? 310 22 250 310
Yep.
250.
Like I almost gave you the wrong number. I almost gave you that one up there. It's the 310,250. So what do we end up paying in total interest?
10 250 3. Whoa. Okay, yeah, I'm right. 377,760.40.
Mm.
Oof.
Okay, and you're on such a roll. You're on
Okay.
such a roll. Having all of these numbers, how much would the interest be on your first payment? Or how much would the principal be and the interest be? So that first payment, let's talk about it. Like you know that you borrowed 310,250. How do we figure out of that? We know the P&I amount is
Uh,
1911.14.
19
How
14.
much is principal? How much is interest? And what's your new balance?
Uh, so then we What's our rate at 6.25?
Yep, our
Yeah.
interest rate
Okay.
was 6.25.
Okay. So we'll do the wait. Let me sorry, let me think. Okay, hold
You're good. Well, what
on.
do we know? We know our balance, and what is the annual interest rate?
Six 6.25.
It's
So
6.25. So what can we find out? If we know the balance and we know the rate of interest, couldn't we find out the amount of annual interest?
yes,
And how would we
by
do that?
multiplying the 310,250 with 6.25.
Yeah, so let's do that. 310, 250 times 0.25%.
Did I put this in here wrong? I may have. I think I put it in wrong.
I got 19,390.63. But look, I'm always putting a number in the calculator wrong. So let's see.
19.3. Okay, yeah, no. I put mine in wrong.
Yep.
Yours looks more
Yep,
accurate.
19,390.63. Yep. Where
Okay.
you go? So this is our annual interest. If you borrowed the money for a full year, you would owe 19,390.63. But it hasn't been a year, it's been 1 month. So what can we do to that number?
We can divide it by 12.
There you go. So 19,390.63 divided by 12 gives us
1,615 and 89 cents.
okay. I'm gonna trust you on that math.
Yeah.
So we know you paid, and let me change colors here. You paid 1911 14, and of that, 1615.89 is interest. So how do we find the principal amount? If you wrote a check for 911 and 1600 of it had to go to interest, how much would go towards principal then?
We'll have to subtract it.
Yep, there you go. So 1911 14 subtract 1615.89.
Would be 295.25 in principal.
Yep,
Okay.
295.25. So
And
then
then
what's your new balance after your payment?
210 minus 295.25 be 309,954.75.
Hit me again with that number.
309
Hmm.
954.75.
There you go.
Okay.
So when I'm teaching a class, I usually give them multiple problems and I just say, just do them over and over. The great thing about the math on this test is there's no math surprises.
Mhm.
And if you just
Yes.
keep doing it over and over, the same steps over and over, eventually you'll be like, oh yeah, this is when I do this. Oh yeah, this is when I do this.
Mhm.
But when you're doing it, just make sure you ask yourself why. And then I always suggest, even if the person doesn't care, if you're married, have a boyfriend, girlfriend, kids, just walk them through the problem. Like, okay, well, I'm doing this because, not because I want you to teach them, but because telling you having to explain while you're doing something will help cement it in your head.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Well, is there anything else I can help you with?
No, I will be repeating this 10 times for the next 2 days till I get this stuck in my head.
I love it. You did great. And then I will see you at the next live office hours.
Alrighty, perfect. Thank you so much, Candace.
You are so very welcome.